welcome back to Random Episode Review. Today we're talking about Skin of Evil, a late first season romp that I'm sure every fan of the series remembers, fondly or not. We open to see the Enterprise traveling without their warp engines. It's just some routine maintenance. Worf and Yar share some banter. Spoiler alert, this is setting up emotions for later. Meanwhile, off-screen, Troy is returning to the Enterprise from a conference via shuttle. So, you know where this is going, right? Sure enough, Troy's shuttle has crash-landed on a planet, and the Enterprise has to dangerously restart the warp engines.
Initiate startup sequence.
Beginning checklist.
Override. We're going directly to startup.
That procedure is not recommended.
Understood. Now!
One-time forgettable chief engineer
Lieutenant Commander Leland T. Lynch here, sir.
does the impossible and gets the ship to warp, and we're off to save Troy, and seemingly only Troy, because poor Lieutenant Petro gets mostly forgotten during most of this episode. Don't worry, Lieutenant, I'd forget about you. Our favorite crew in the worst uniforms make it to Vegra 2 and beam down to the soundstage that the shuttle has landed on. Data, Crusher, Riker, and Yar quickly move towards the crashed shuttle, but are stopped by some 1988 effects work. This black tar substance doesn't appear to want the landing party near the shuttle. Scans show nothing. It's just black goop. Whatever will we do?
Very good, Tin Man.
Whoa, this dang thing talks and uses 1930s Earth pop culture references towards Data for some reason. Oh, and it can take a slightly more humanoid shape sometimes. Neat. The away team lets Grimer over here know that they just need to get to their crew in the shuttle, but good old Muck's like, nah, it's more fun if you just hang out here. Tasha decides that she's not going to take this from some ditto-looking goofball, and she starts moving towards the shuttle. Oh shit, she's dead! Like, dead. And not like that android lady from Discovery where we still don't remember her name and she meant so little that one of two actors that played her, yes, two, is still on the show and nobody even noticed. Tasha was a big part of the show. She slept with Data for frig's sakes. Back in 1988, 5-year-old Chris's brain was rocked. That goofy scar on Tasha's face will forever be burned into my brain. But we're done with Tasha for now though. Worf is now acting security chief, and we get a check-in with Troy. And awkwardly, no sign of the other person that was involved with the crash, but anyway. Troy does her empath thing and tries to reason with old Goomy here, but this ain't no normal type Pokemon. It's the leftover evil from a race of do-gooders that shed their badness like a snake sheds its skin, and then they just pieced out, leaving Armus all alone on this otherwise dead world. Normally this could make for an interesting villain, but mostly Armus is just an unkillable internet troll, getting his jollies off of the pain he can inflict on others. With such dastardly moves like changing his mind?
Please.
You ask nicely. I will allow it. Wait. I've changed my mind.
He messes with the away team some more, like taking Geordi's visor in the typical schoolyard bully style, but this is just boring Armus. So he's going to up and steal Riker or something. I mean, I don't even know. Anyway, if anyone leaves the planet, Riker, Troy, and everybody else is dead. So I guess that's neat. Whatever. The crew up on the Enterprise start to understand how this goopy mess's energy works. If they make it mad enough, they can weaken it enough to allow a safe transport out. Cool! So Picard goes down to stare down the goo. Goopy Magoo over here just wants to be entertained, and Picard's like, nah, screw you. Oh, look, Riker's back. Neat. Picard talks his way into the goop, allowing the away team to beam out, and to see Troy. Oh, and look, Ben's sort of alive, maybe. Neat! So now we learn that the tar pit just wants off the planet. He's pretty bummed about being left all alone all this time, which is how Picard talked his way into seeing Troy and letting the away team off, etc. And Picard does his speech thing about how he won't bow to the demands of this goopy motherfucker, and that makes the goop super upset. Which of course is the plan. And of course he gets so upset that the Enterprise can beam up Troy and Ben off the planet. Before Picard gets beamed up as well, he gets a final word in.
I'm not taking you anywhere.
You look like
And then the Enterprise heads off. But not before we get some parting words from hologram Tasha. Which is nice and all, but she was also just kind of murked by some alien goo in the first few moments of the episode. That's not cool, Joseph Stefano. And yeah, although Tasha's death was pretty dumb in this episode, they do find a way to redeem it a few seasons later in the wonderful episode Yesterday's Enterprise, where an alternate timeline Yar finds out what happens to herself in the Prime timeline and sacrifices herself to ensure time is corrected. It's a pretty great re-send-off of a pretty good character. Season 1 was a rocky start to the new fancy Star Trek series. It was bold in what it changed from the original series, but also seemed really stuck in rather silly stories like these. But what Star Trek always did really well was making you care about its characters. They didn't just shove in all of Tasha's backstory in the same episode she died in for some cheap emotion like some show. But we grew to know her, and it was actually pretty crazy to see her killed off so soon. The Next Generation would grow to become an amazing television show, and making the Klingon the head of security was really a no-brainer. But I think it was a loss to see the character miss out on just how good the show got later on. But then again, I suppose asking anyone to don these uniforms would be a tall order. Maybe I understand why she left the show when she did. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's it for me. Have a good one. Peace.